So, having got the ICOM 8500 receiver working, I have been using it with a 2-meter J-pole, but I'd thought that's a very narrow band antenna, although it does work quite well. I thought I'd buy one of these, which is a Discone antenna, and comes in this nice black bag, and it came really fast, just a day after I ordered it. So we've got the instructions and specifications here. Moonraker Scan Coil, Scan King Royal, Discone 2000. And if we look at the oh dear, look at the specifications. We're supposed to receive from 25 to 2000 megahertz. Now that, I wonder how well it would receive down at 25, but that's not really of interest to me anyway. For transmit, it's supposed to be able to have a low SWR. If you wanted to transmit on it, it's 6 meters, 2 meters, 70 centipedes and 23 centipedes. Impedance 50 ohms, well, that's going to vary, I would imagine. N-type connector, 200 watts maximum power, gain 2.15 dBi, in other words 0 dBd. VSWR 1.5 to 1 or less at the amateur radio bands, and the rest is whatever. Instructions to assemble it. It looks fairly straightforward. I think there's 8 radials coming down and another 8 horizontal smaller ones, and then a whip on top. So let's take it apart and see what it looks like. So this is the main central part of it, with the mounting tube which comes off, and you put the mounting brackets on the tube, obviously, and this looks like a loading coil of some sort, which I believe unscrews if you want to unscrew it, and the radial section underneath it's for the horizontal ones. And unscrew this, take the tube off, because you have to do that anyway when you're mounting it. And what I really like about this is the fact that it's got an N-type connector on it, and I absolutely hate PL259s, especially for outdoor usage. They are horrible things. Give me an N-type any day. At least you've got some chance of waterproofing the plug and socket. And of course they've got a constant impedance N-types, whereas PL259s are rubbish above about 2 meters. And whilst we got them, this is obviously the top whip, because it's got a thing on the end of it that goes into the loading coil. I've got to find the Allen key which they gave me. Okay, it looks like the Allen key's in this bag with the clamps. Plastic clamps. Well, I guess they'll be okay. It's not particularly heavy. Nice of them to give me an Allen key, as if I need another Allen key. got several hundred already, I think. Right, that's the Allen key. And there's the decided to do this in the lounge because it's absolutely freezing in the garage. It's about 5 or 6 or 7 degrees out there, although it's supposed to get a bit warmer yesterday, later on, and I should hope to get this up today to try it. I don't know if you want to see the rest of the assembly, but it's going to be a bit long and tedious. So, and you get to see my ponytail as well, which I'm not proud of, if you can see that. I think you can see alright. Got a broken tripod, so nothing's perfect at the moment. I don't know if you can hear me either, because the microphone is a fair distance away. So what we've got is screw the radials in like that, and I did bring a spanner in. No, I don't know where the bloody spanner's gone. Right, found the spanner. Once you screw those in, I think they'd be right to screw in by hand, because the nut will lock them. Right. 8 of these to do. Right, you don't want to see that anymore. Okay, that's all the horizontal radials in, and I do like the construction, stainless steel, and apparently other bits are chrome plated brass. So now I need to get in the long sloping radials. Another 8 of these to do, and they're quite long, I think 83 centimetres. Alright, that's the first one. You can see how long it is, and just do the rest of them. Well, that was not the easiest of jobs. I think the problem is they've made this out of aluminium. You're screwing a stainless steel whip into aluminium. Unless you're very, very careful, you can cross-thread it, which I did on a couple of them. But they're all in now, and as you can see, it is looking alright. I don't think there's much else to do with it. Take it in the garage and test it, I guess. Right, so I've mounted it outside, fairly far away from other metallic objects on my Black & Decker workmate, and the temporary pole. And let's look at the antenna analyzer, if I can put it on here. Right, no reflections everywhere. No, that's not going to work, is it? Let's come back in here. Right, now I've set this up to scan between 40 megahertz at the bottom end and 500 at the top end, which is the main frequencies I'll be interested in using it on. And we're in log mag mode, in other words return loss, which is a better way of doing measurements like this. And we can see some resonances, but I don't think they're where they should be, because if I move to that one, that's at 81 megahertz. Well, that's not very useful, is it? It's certainly not at 50 megahertz. And the next one is 136.6. It's not quite 2 meters either, is it? Okay, it may be too close to some of the things where I mounted it, but I don't know. And if I did take it up to 145.8, we're getting minus 10. If you want to see what that is in the more traditional format SWR, it's got an SWR of 1.79 up there, dropping to 1.2 at 138 megahertz, and that other one down the bottom, down there, on 81, that's at 1.24 to 1. If we go all the way across the bands, we got one down there, 270, not very useful, and 4.3, it's not too bad, is it? 4.33, 4.31, that'll do. No, it isn't very good. 2.88 to 1 SWR. I don't like SWR measurements. I would prefer to do it like this with return loss. So as we can see, there aren't really any resonances on the bands it says it should be resonant on. And I don't think I'm doing anything wrong with it. There's not much you can do wrong with it. But anyway, it's only going to be for receiving. I wouldn't connect this to a transmitter. Let's try a bit higher up and see what it looks like. Stimulus. Let's start at 500 and stop at, I don't know, one point, not sure how high this goes, 1.5 gigahertz. It does go up to 1.5, and we can see that there are some minor resonances around 1000 megahertz, but for 23 centimeters, not very good at all. But that's the way it is. What else can I do with it? One thing I did notice is that coil which screws onto the top, you've only got to knock it or do something to it and it comes unscrewed. So that really needs maybe some thread lock to stop that coil unscrewing at the base. So I guess the next thing to do is to stick it up on on the pole I've got on the front of the garage roof. So here's the J pole which I put up, resonant on 2 meters, around 145, homemade J pole, which is vertical half-wave dipole end fed, and strangely it's resonant also at 458 megahertz. I would have thought, if anything, would have been resonant at the third harmonic, 2 meters, but whatever. I'm going to take it down. And it's actually very easy to get to the garage roof. Climb on the workshop, walk along the edge, and then I'm on the roof. And I can do all my aerial work easily, carrying a, whatever it's called, Discone. So there it is, up at its full height. Haven't taped up the cable yet. I'm going to try it for a few days. I've already been inside and it's more or less the same resonance as when I checked it with the antenna analyzer. Oh, I've got some fluff on top of the whip. I think I've got some fluff up there. Never mind. I don't think that's going to affect its performance. So really, it's got to be a matter of a few days really of trying it to see how it performs. I did a quick listen and FM stations did seem to be a lot stronger, and 2 meter signals were down slightly. I haven't tried it on UHF yet, so we'll do a test at some point, but I'm fed up with being outside. It's about 6.5 degrees and not very nice out here. Why do I do these projects in the middle of winter? Well, it's not quite winter. We had months and months of hot, dry weather. But then again, the radio didn't work back then. So, I wasn't happy with this Discone. It didn't work that well on 2 meters. Or do I really care about that? I don't know. But my main complaint is it's got no resonances on the amateur bands, as it said in the instructions and specifications. Absolutely no way was it resonant on any of the bands. So I've been fiddling today and it's bloody freezing. I've been up on the roof and I've taken it down. I put the J pole back up temporarily and I've been fiddling around, and I've lengthened this whip on top. This is the original, if you can see, this is the original whip you get with it. And this one, the new one, is probably nearly a foot, 8 inches longer than the original whip. And it is interesting to see what results I've achieved. So we'll go over to the aerial analyzer. So I'm scanning between 40 and 200 at the moment, and I got a little dip there at 49, and -6, nothing special. Up here though we get 10 dB, well 8 dB return loss at 70 megahertz amateur band. Now we've got this big broad one which goes right down to there, and that's resonant now on 139, and that's the nearest I could get to getting it to resonate on 2 meters. So if I go up to 144, I'm getting -17 return loss, 17 dB. So I put that into something more familiar. Display, don't do that. Display format, SWR. Now that's more reasonable. I'm getting a 1.28 to 1 SWR at 144, go up to 147, still fairly low, 147, and that one down there is at 70 megahertz, 2 to 1, so it might receive on the 70 megahertz on the 4 meter amateur band. and this other one here is on 49.6. That's 2.8 to 1. So it might well receive fairly well on that band as well, 50 megahertz band. So I'm not going to put it up again today. I've had enough. It's freezing. I've been on the roof a couple of times and it's only about 4 degrees here today. I'll probably put it up tomorrow. So it's the next day and the Discone is back up on its pole, and my conclusions are, yeah, it works fairly well. It works better than it did on 2 meters, and but it's still a bit down on the J pole. That's to be expected. It works fairly well on UHF. Picked up the local repeater.
Under control, hello, speed 13 Golf, landing flight level 320, TBDLC.
That is London.
213 Golf, thank you, route direct to Malon.
London Control. London Control, which is a local. It's actually got a local transmitter about 10 miles away. I have them all around the country. So, but I've got a lot of hills between me and that transmitter, so I wouldn't expect it to be massively strong. But it is stronger than the J-pole on the aircraft band. And of course, as you'd expect, FM signals are very, very strong. I mean, that's a massive signal, but that is a local transmitter relay station just about 1.5 miles away. And yeah, I mean, it's going to work a lot better on FM, should I want to listen to FM, than that J-pole did.
You never know.
There's not a lot worth listening to on FM. But anyway, there is nothing on 2 meters at the moment. I'm scanning on several repeaters which are fairly strong around here. Okay, that's the repeater near Cheddar, which is about 40 miles away. That's S5. It's slightly down. It's a very logarithmic scale though, so it's probably about 3 dB down on the J-pole. But I've got a proper radio for 2 meters, so here it is, with a proper aerial on it, so I don't need this really. But it's just useful sometimes. And I don't think there's much more. There's nothing on much at all these days on VHF, unless you count digital signals which you can't listen to. Gone are the days when you could listen to the police repeater on 452 megahertz on FM. It's all gone digital and mobile phones now. Anyway, I'm waffling on too much. My conclusions about this Discone is that probably wasn't worth the money. £50 it cost me, and it didn't perform as they said it would. Whether mine's got a fault on it, I don't know. I can't see how it could do. The only thing that could go faulty is that coil, where the whip fixes into. I don't believe that's faulty. I just don't think it's a properly designed antenna, and they shouldn't say that it's got resonances on the various amateur bands. Anyway, I'm sure you've had enough of all this. I'd be surprised if anybody made it through to the end. So bye for now.